Hello. So today I want to talk to you about your thinking and how you think. So many people believe that a positive thinking and manifestations, they're really important to help propel us towards our goal. But I kind of want to talk to you about the other side. And what that is limited thinking. And this really can be a burden on yourself and really can be holding you back. And it really is one of the ways we often will self-sabotage our success. So if you're really not sure what I mean by limited thinking, I want to give you some examples, and these are things that you need to really decide, do you engage in these type of thought processes? And so they're probably holding you back and you need to work on addressing them. So the first type of thinking, that pattern, is all or nothing. And what I mean by this is a limited thinking pattern that hinders your ability to really see the nuances. You're either massively successful or you're a lowly failure. And really, there's no in between. You really routinely think basically is holding you back to really see your progress and growth. And it's important that you learn to see the middle ground, that things are progressing and that it's not all or nothing. Another type of limited thinking power or thinking type of method is really focused on the negativity. So negative thinking is one of the most discussed topics really in the self-help world. And we all know that the negative impact of this type of thinking can have on our lives. So if you're the type of person who kind of filters information kind of through a negative lens, it's important that you address this because it's really going to hold you back to really be the level of happiness and success that you really deserve. Another type of thinking pattern is overgeneralization. So this thinking pattern is best described as taking a single incident and really drawing these broad conclusions about it. So for example, you fell at something, so then you decide it's worthless, you're lousy, and you'll just never figure it out. So besides this being overly negative, this thinking process isn't logical. So you really need to stop trying to think in these absolutes and not really hold one little piece of information as a large generalized statement. Another type of thinking pattern is mind reading. And what I mean by that is really it's impossible to read someone's mind. And so even if you're a really highly intuitive individual, you really can't know for sure what someone else is thinking. And if you're the type of person that makes these quick assumptions about others or think that you really know the real reason they acted in a certain way, then you might be suffering from this thinking pattern. And this again will be holding you back. Another thinking pattern is a fixed mindset. And in a fixed mindset is an idea that things are how they are and there's no reason to change. You may trust your abilities, which is great, but you never see a reason to grow or change. And if you're not growing and changing as a person, well, then you're really standing still and you're really letting the world pass you by. Another type of thinking pattern is the stuck on how. So this type of limited thinking pattern is when you really kind of get wrapped up in the idea of the how. So for example, how will you reach your goals? Well, it's important to have a plan. Sometimes we can't possibly know all the details of accomplishing something. So you can't allow this to stop you from taking action. And so the stuck on how really is kind of what I say is paralysis by analysis. Develop the best plan you can, but then don't sit there and focus and dwell on it. And you actually need to take action. Another type of limiting thinking pattern is uh, basically catastrophizing. And so you're the type of person that basically thinks or assumes the worst of any situation. Does a small obstacle in your path make you think that the sky is falling? And if so, you really need to change this type of thinking pattern. This limited thinking pattern makes us really always expect the worst. And if you don't deal with it, you're probably going to be paralyzed by this fear and indecisiveness, and it's really going to limit your ability to grow. Another limiting thinking pattern is a case of the shoulds. So if you ever get caught up worrying about the way things should be instead of how they are, you might be dealing with this limited thinking pattern. You expect the universe and other people to act according to your preconceived standards, and you can't adapt when they don't. So again, this is another thinking pattern that might be holding you back. The final thinking pattern I want to talk about is personalization. And reality of it is not everything is about you. Now, did you need to hear that? If so, you might be suffering from personalization. And this limiting thinking pattern means that you take everything personally. Not everything that happens to you is a personal slight or shortcoming. Sometimes things just simply happen and simply don't work out. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. So What are some action steps you can take? Well, first, you can go through this list of limiting thinking patterns that I just talked about and really put a check mark besides the ones that you think you might have. The next thing is to take those ones that you put a check mark by and prioritize them, with one being the most utilized or the most negative thinking pattern that you use, and you're going to want to work your way down this. And what you need to do is really just pick one, and you're going to try to break that limited thinking pattern just one at a time. So you're going to start at the top of your list, and you're going to tackle each one of these individually as you continue to grow and develop as the kind of the best version of you. So this is just some quick information on how our thoughts and thinking can really impact us to help promote us to be more successful, but also at times can be holding us back. And this is an attempt to really address those thought patterns that may be holding us back. So hopefully you find this somewhat helpful. And again, if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know. Thank you.